because just kind of looking at what looks to be the second team offense and who's quarterbacking it,
Yeah.
looked like Luke got a lot of work there today. Just, how's that competition, if you call it a competition between Luke and Kincaid going to be the number 2 guy?
Yeah, those guys have both they've done a good job through the first few days of fall camp. Kincaid's really got most of the work there. Luke got a little bit today. Competition will be ongoing, kind of see how things go through fall camp and make a decision.
Obviously, we've been talking a lot about John Rhys Plumlee and kind of his transition. What have you kind of seen from him, and has the transition been easier, harder than you thought, and do you see him as a major contributor?
One, yes, the major contributor part, absolutely. He's going to play a ton of snaps for us. He's done a great job through 4 days. It's like going back to the bowl game. He practiced 5 days before going to playing the bowl game. Now he's gotten some good work, spent a ton of time in here this summer once baseball was over, and he's done a good job. So counting on him.
Kind of following off of that, Matt came in here Monday and said that John Rhys still kind of has that quarterback mind because he knows the routes from the other perspective.
Sure.
What does that do in having that in the receivers room, maybe with helping the other receivers, having that quarterback brain in the receivers room?
Yeah, I think the goal for everybody on the unit is to understand exactly what we're doing, what everybody's doing, and nail it at every position. So everybody says knowledge is power. John Rhys has got it. He's able to share in that room, and as he works through it and playing the position, he's able to share some things from a different perspective maybe that guys didn't think about initially. So that's been really good, not just for the young guys, for everybody.
Jeff, there's obviously a lot of talk about replacing Elijah's production from last year. Do you see that as a thing that has to be done by committee, or do you think there's one person who might be able to kind of fill in those shoes?
No, I think we have created really good depth at the position. I think the guys that walk out there first in Atlanta are going to be able to go play at a high level and play at a championship level and get it done for us. So, obviously Elijah, can you replace him? No, I think we can do some different things to help that, and we got guys in the room that can produce and go make plays.
Jeff, I want to ask you about 2 different guys that you didn't have last year. First, Jacour Pearson, kind of sticking with the slot theme. What can he bring to the offense? What have you seen out of him? And secondly, Orlando Amana transferring in and taking that center spot and kind of solidifying that offensive line with 4 starters coming back.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that those 2 guys got in common is experience. They've played a ton of ball. I mean, we've talked about it a ton, but you got to live experience. Those guys have it. They've played in big games. So going out there the first Monday night, this year, it's not going to be something new to them. They've done it. They've strapped up and been to war. So that's the thing that they bring is great experience. They've played at a high level and played really well at other places. Expect them to play really well here.
In terms of Matt, where have you seen him if you look back, a year ago to now? Is it seeing things better on the field? Is it as a leader, as a personality? Like, where have you seen Matt Corral grow the most?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things that you immediately notice. One is leadership. He's done an unbelievable job being a great leader and setting the standard of how we're going to operate and how we're going to go about things in our building. So that's first and foremost. But in the meeting room, he's taken giant strides. Huge steps to nailing the position. We talk about knowing your job cold, and he knows it, and he's eager to learn every single day. He's been incredibly coachable. After all the production he's had, he's wanting to get better. So it's been great.
Jerrion talked a little bit the other day about wanting to expand his role in this offense. Just first off, how's that going? And second, how do you kind of see his role expanding?
He needs the football. Yeah. If I'm smart, I'll get him the football. But that, whether it's in the backfield, not in the backfield, wherever it is, the guy needs the ball. He's special, and we're going to find ways to get it to him for sure.
Jeff, on paper, it looks like you guys have plenty of depth on the interior of the offensive line. On the edges, maybe not so much. How important is it to develop that depth through fall camp? And who are the guys that you're depending on to progress enough so that you can count on them out there where Broker and James are?
Yeah, I think everybody's aware of the league that we play in and how hard it is to go 12, 13, 14 games and stay healthy. So at some point in time, you're going to have to play with somebody else. Ced Melton is a guy obviously that we're excited about. Said nicely, who just got here, we're excited about. Tobias Braun's done a nice job here 4 days through fall camp. So we've got some young pieces. Again, they haven't lived it, they hadn't played, so you never really know until you go do it. But those are guys that have done a nice job that we're going to be counting on to create depth.
How do you kind of assess the tight end situation at this point, and then what have you kind of seen from Hudson so far?
Yeah, so Ozark's done a great job. Chase Rogers done a great job. Man, he's just incredibly steady. He's passionate about what he does. It's important to him to be a really good football player, so that's been huge. DeMarcus Thomas has done some really good things. So we've got those two guys that have been here, and then Hudson being able to get some live work. Could not be more excited about him. You know, a guy that is incredibly talented, incredibly sharp, loves to play, and you know, it matters to him. So we're fired up about him as well.
Yeah, just sort of being out there at practice, looks like Braylon Brown's a guy who's been making some plays. Do you see him as somebody who's going to see the field significantly early, or I know everybody's getting reps right now.
Sure.
But do you see him as a contributor?
Yeah, Braylon's done a great job. He's got to keep growing. I think he's done a nice job just transitioning from high school to here and understanding how much time it takes to really get good at the position at this level. So he spent a ton of time in the building. Again, he's got the right mind frame. He goes about it the right way, and he's worked incredibly hard and has made some plays as well.
Jeff, you've coached a lot of places that have had good offenses year after year after year.
Sure.
What in your mind is kind of the trait that you see for continuing success and not just having one big year like you did last year?
I think at the end of the day, you know, it is about the trigger man. You know, you got to have a QB that can get it done and be able to go deliver the ball and create really good decisions through maybe not perfect pictures. And so guys that can do that as we're playing fast, you get a bunch of different pictures and muddy pictures where people aren't set, whatever the case may be, but a guy that can take care of the football and make plays on the perimeter before you get the ball on the edge, turn it into a one-on-one game is what you need to sustain in this offense. And so we'll continue to move that way and see where it goes.
This is, I want to ask you about where you are right now with that offense versus where you were last year at this time because of how crazy everything was. You
Sure.
guys didn't have time with the kids because of COVID, all that kind of stuff. And I guess essentially, how much more advanced can this offensive attack be now that you've actually had an entire offseason leading into camp? Because it looks like y'all are rolling pretty smoothly out there in the early going.
Yeah, I think we're at a lot different place. You know, obviously, as we've gone through it, year two is always, you know, it's a fun deal for coaches because you don't have to go back through it all. You know, you make sure that you cover what you need to cover, but guys understand the base of the offense. So you're able to put in more, you're able to put more on the kids, and we got a bunch of guys that have played a lot of ball and can take a lot. So it makes it fun for us being able to be creative and create some personnel mismatches and go from there.
Do you address expectations or preseason rankings or hype or anything with the offense, or is that something you kind of let them filter through on their own?
No, I mean, as we talk in here as an offensive unit, we talk about setting the standard of how offense is supposed to be played. That's who we want to be. That's how we want to operate. You know, we're going to be a group that we talk about playing fast, fearless, and physical, and let everything else take care of itself. So we talk about us and doing our job, and I think everything else will take care of itself.
We talked about Jerian earlier, obviously behind him in terms of Connor and Parrish. Is that going to be situational? Do you think there's going to be a definitive pecking order behind him, or is it just going to kind of depend on what's going on in the game?
I think it'll kind of depend on what goes on in the game. I think the great thing is we've got really good depth at that position, which we're going to need. I think everybody knows we like running the football as well, you know, so those guys have done a good job and we got good depth in the room, so that'll be good.